Am I the idiot for helping my son avoid his family after his wife cheated? I don't really feel great about throwing this on the internet, but everyone is too pissed to talk to me, so this is about what I've got. My son and his wife have been together for 6 years and have a little 4-year-old girl. They've had their problems every once in a while, but to me it seemed like they always worked through it. I know he absolutely loves her and I thought they were very close. But 3 days ago my son came to my door at 10 at night drunk, sick and in complete tears. I guess she'd been cheating on him for some time, and during an argument she finally admitted it. He just fell apart, he could hardly breathe right. I cleaned him up and put him in bed, and that's about where he's been since. He looks ill, he won't eat, I've never seen him so upset. His wife and her family were calling us both repeatedly, but we just didn't deal with it at first. He was devastated. I wanted him to have a moment to gather himself. This morning I bit the bullet and answered her call. She was angry he had walked out and left her with their daughter and said she just wanted to talk this out like adults. I told her that she could talk to him when he chose to contact her, and that I think he'd want to work something out, but she needed to give him some space. She got more upset and I told her I wouldn't talk if she was going to throw a fit, so she hung up. I don't know what she told her family, but I've since gotten calls from her mom begging me not to let him leave her and their daughter. Her sister called to berate me for protecting a deadbeat father. They're all freaking out. He isn't abandoning his family, his life has been turned on its head and I want him to have some time to find his feet. It's just been 3 days, it's not like he's run away. But now everyone is angry at me for letting my son leave his daughter, which he absolutely adores, that little girl. He'd never just up and leave. So am I the asshole for letting him stay with me to get away from his family? I know it leaves his wife in a tight spot, but it's been 3 days and she hardly works part-time. It's not like he's left her with an impossible task. And I absolutely intend to have my son deal with this, but I just can't see him feel like this, and I don't think he could have any meaningful conversation this way. What should I do? I'm not trying to let him hide from his responsibilities, but he's hurting and needs time to breathe. Some additions and edits for clarity. Of course, we've discussed the possibility that his daughter might not be biologically his, but he doesn't plan to abandon her regardless. He loves his little girl and would despite anything. And as far as if her family knows the full story, I have no clue. I haven't even tried talking with them yet. Comment 1. When a relationship starts with deception, it's difficult to not change the perception of the relation, so in the end depends if he is willing to fix the relationship with the girl or prefer to let that crumble. It's better for the child that he take the best decision for himself, because if he force himself to continue loving that child, it can cause more long-term harm than happiness for the kid. Comment 2. I think they're imagining the scenario where, yes, he could absolutely love that little girl, but she could be a reminder of the situation and how bad it got. Parents who have kids too early, for example, can harbor resentment so deep they don't even realize it, and it causes lashing out and short-tempered conversations that can make a kid question what they did wrong. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not wanting to help my friend cheat on a drug test to get into med school? I, 21M, was asked about 30 minutes ago by my roommate/friend of several years, 24M, to give him my urine by tomorrow. He needs it for a drug test required by the PA, physician's assistant, school he was recently accepted to. Even though I have known him for a long time, I wouldn't say we are extremely close, but we have been living together along with my fiancé, 24F, for a couple years. He specifically needs it because he smoked weed. I don't particularly care about whether he smokes or not, but it just feels wrong to help him cheat on something like this. Especially because where we live he can get jail time if he's caught. I've never really asked any major favors of him like this, and in fact he more often asks for me and my fiancé for favors, often driving him around or taking him out to do things since he doesn't have any friends besides us. In my opinion, he should have just been able to keep some self-control. The only reason why I feel bad is because he's been studying for a while for this, and I'm not sure how long it'll take for him to get back and apply again if he can't do the drug test. I'm heavily leaning towards saying no, if so AITA? Comment 1. Hopping on the top comment to add that due to weed being legal in so many places they might not even test for it. Have the friend look at the chain of custody form and Google the panel it has marked. If it's 9 panel, then likely isn't testing for weed. 10 panel definitely is. Friend needs to grow up and cut the shit before he ruins his future career. They can randomly test all through clinicals, and weed isn't worth a career. OP is NTA. Comment 2. Google, mom loses custody after eating poppy seed bagel, and you'll find out how ridiculous some of the thresholds on those tests can be in some states. When I was in college, I had a turkey on poppy seed bun a couple times a week from the sandwich line, and my drug test for Target caught it. But even in the early aughts, it didn't cause an issue. The lady asked me what I had to eat the last week, and when I got to the sandwich she went yup. That would do it, and marked it as passed. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for I turned my friend in for cheating? My friend, 23F, and Ike, 24F, are roommates and also classmates. Over the past year, I have watched her become increasingly lazy and irresponsible to the point I don't want to live with her anymore. When we first moved in together, she was pretty laid back like me. Lately she's constantly having guests over and letting them stay over late into the night when she knows I am in bed by 9 or 10, and am up at 6 a.m. for work. She's getting drunk and generally not pulling her weight around the house despite me repeatedly asking her to actually clean up. My peace and quiet are non-existent at this point. That's already bad enough, but the last straw has been her slacking at school and expecting me to help her. She's barely paying attention and going to class hungover, so of course she's not learning all that much. Now she wants me to share my homework answers with her and plagiarize my work, and I'm so aghast that she would even ask. How entitled do you have to be to ask someone to give away what they actually put in the effort for? She's self-destructing fast enough and now plans to pay someone for answers. I'm just about fed up with this nonsense and have half a mind to clue our teacher in. I just don't have patience for irresponsible BS, and she doesn't deserve to skate by while the rest of us actually do what we're supposed to. There's just no excuse, and it's not okay. If I'm being honest, I am hoping she would get booted from the school and then would have no reason to live with me anymore, but that's neither here nor there. She doesn't deserve to be in class if she's not committed to it. Wibda? Should I just let her suffer the consequences whenever they do finally catch up to her? Comment 1. I really do agree with you, but it sounds like she needs some kind of support/counseling. I'm not sure if this is a thing at OP's college, but maybe they should try to let someone know about her mental state so she can get counseling. I think it would be a bit better to get her some professional help to try to avoid this situation altogether. But honestly, I hate the "you don't snitch" culture we've created. Like, what if she doesn't get caught, then she feels enabled to do this the rest of her life? There needs to be some academic accountability, and that roommate obviously isn't going to uphold it herself. Comment 2. Agreed. As a professor, please start with visiting your professor at office hours and explaining what is happening. The reason this is so important is because your roommate may help themselves to your work without you knowing, at which point you can be accused of collusion. Speaking to your professor in person will go a long way towards addressing this, as they will have a better idea of your voice as a student. Then, tell them that you would appreciate their advice on pulling student mental health services into this situation. They will have the resources and can help you start the process. This way, you are protected, your professor is aware, and your friend can get the assistance they need. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for cheating to get a promotion? I put the cheating in quotes because I don't think it's cheating, but my colleagues disagree. I'm in my 30s and everyone involved are between 30 to 50. About 6 months ago, our unit VP announced his retirement by the end of the year, so the company went into search mode. We recently found out our manager will be promoted into the VP position, so now his position needs to be filled. Which brings us to my current situation. I'm single with no kids, so I have no other responsibilities except to myself. I really want this position because it's a visible position and a great stepping stone to my career, as seen by my manager's promotion, and it'll almost double my pay. Once we found out about our manager's promotion, I started to take on extra projects and taking work home. I leave work at my normal hours, then work from home until 9 or 10 p.m., even on the weekends. All of those extra hours have allowed me to take on harder projects that other people turn down and complete more than anyone else. My manager and the VP have noticed and complimented me on my hustle. My colleagues also noticed my increased production. Last week, a work friend asked me how I'm able to do all of those projects in 8 hours, and I told her about my nights and weekends. Word got around, and this week during our weekly conference call, my colleagues told me to cut it out. They accused me of cheating because I'm putting in the amount of hours they can't, so I'm skewing the production numbers. I refused and don't think it's cheating at all and argued they can put in the same amount of hours. Some said they can't because of family time, and others refused to work hours they won't get paid for. We're all on salary. We spent most of the meeting arguing about it. Cheating? Edit: I didn't add it to the post because of character limits. My colleagues and I are all supervisors. I have a mentor who's a VP in a different unit, and he's advising me on the promotion process and steps I need to take. He also told me what to expect if I get promoted, so I'm going into this fully informed. Basically, my manager worked about 50 to 60 hours a week because he's always on call. I can go into more details, but it'll just bore you. Feel free to ask and I'll update if I see the same questions repeated. Edit 2. This has been brought up many times. I won't get promoted just because I hustled for a month or two. Management looks over my entire career and time at the company. However, my mentor told me to think of it as having an important project coming up and what will I do to complete it. He said my VP and manager don't expect me to keep up the production but are looking to see who is climbing for the open position. He goes on to say with everything being equal, skills, knowledge, etc., there is little chance for a person who religiously work only 40 hours to be promoted to a position that requires 50 to 60 hours. Personally, I view the double in pay more than compensate for the increasing HRS. Edit 3. There has been questions about my coworkers and the ones who are most against my extra work. The one leading the charge and making the most noise is a lady in her 50s. She's been here the longest, longer than even our recently promoted manager. We've always had a cordial working relationship, but she's been vicious as of late. We're all supervisors and are on salary. I know some places require sign-in sheets for salary positions, but we don't have such constraint. I do know they audit our computer usage to see how much or little we work. My colleagues and I all submitted our application and CV for the position. There are other applications from other business units within the company as this is a highly desirable job. Thanks for reading my post and giving me your opinions. I spent the night reading through every one of them. I'll post an update of my status once I find out in a couple of weeks if anyone is still interested.